everybody, this is Alchemist 2 and I'm back again with another book review. I just read The Art of Living by Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And I've read many of his other books before, so I am familiar with his work. And this book, although it looks very small, it might seem to an ordinary passerby who's not familiar with his work that it's going to be an easy read. Well, you'd be surprised. This is a book that is actually very profound and rife with meaning. And it talks about the art of stillness and breathing and mindfulness and the art of letting go. And he talks about what true nirvana really is. And he talks about non-being and non-attachment and how in this world we're always craving, we always want. And that can be very destructive at times. And he gives a lot of alternatives through the book that I found very insightful. I'm actually going to read, and I like the fact, I like when he talks about death too, because I've had that on my mind since my dad died, because I know that he's with me, and I know that Mother's with me, I know my whole family that's on the other side is in paradise. It's just, it talks about how that it's not a beginning, it's not an end. It's just a continuation of being. And he talks about non-being as well. And I thought, it's just, there are so many things that are so mind-bendingly metaphysical and just insanely deep. This is the chapter about death. And I really like this chapter. It gave me a lot of comfort. I know this sounds really counterintuitive, but it's called Signlessness. A cloud never dies. And then underneath it says, death is essential to making life possible. Death is transformation. Death is continuation. And what I recall is I had gone to my aunt's family member's celebration of life. And other than my mother and my father's funeral, which I only shed a tear at both, and I shed one tear at Mary's funeral, she said life is a transition. And then in my dad's eulogy, I said it was being transposed to a higher key. Or if you want to think of it in a mathematical term, it's being raised to a higher power. But I'm going to go ahead and read what Thich says here, because it's just his wording is just absolutely sensational. It's sheer poetry. Suppose we look up to the sky and notice a beautiful cloud. We think, that's a lovely cloud. Then we look a few moments later and the sky is clear and blue, and we think, the cloud has disappeared. One moment things seem to exist and then they're gone. We look at things this way because we have a tendency to be caught up in signs, appearances, familiar forms, and this distracts us from seeing the true nature of reality. When we see something we recognize in the phenomenal world, like a cloud, we say it's there, it exists. And when we can no longer see it, we say it's not there, it no longer exists. But the underlying truth is it still exists, even if its appearance has changed. See, I was thinking solid liquid gas. I was thinking of that as well. I thought, holy crud. I mean, this, like I said, this is profound. The challenge is to recognize that thing in its new form. This is meditation on signlessness. Whether or not we can understand the true nature of birth and death and overcome fear, grief, anger, sorrow depends on whether we can see things with the eyes of signlessness. If we know how to look with the eyes of signlessness, it's not at all difficult to answer the question, what happens when we die? And I love the fact it says, he talks about birthdays, and so many people have a concept of what it is. He talks about the human body, that's the first body. The second body is the Buddha body, and he says that anybody can be this is a possible thing for anybody to achieve. He says, and I quote, "We all have the seeds of mindfulness, love, understanding, and compassion. And whether these good seeds have a chance to grow depends on our environment." And I agree with that. I think that environment has a lot to do with who we become. Second body is the Buddha body. The third body is the spiritual practice body. Fourth body is the community body. And the fifth is the body outside of the body. The sixth is the continuation. That's what happens after we transcend. And seventh body is the cosmic body. I like the fact, this goes on, it goes beyond the cosmic body. And then he deliberates on the eighth body, which is the ultimate body, which goes beyond the nature of the cosmos. And I love how he equivocates this to a wave in the ocean, and that the wave is the ocean, basically. Nirvana is within us as well. He talks about that. God is not separate from us. We tend to separate ourselves from what our true nature is. Mother Earth is within me, and I like the whole fact of aimlessness. He speaks of that as not being kind of laziness, but it is you are doing even though you are not doing anything. There's so much in this book that is just it's so comforting and helpful, and it's given me a lot of peace of mind. And I think that if you're curious about how Buddha sees the world, and I like Buddhism, I really think it's a beautiful practice, it's a beautiful religion in and of itself. I think I agree with a lot of the tenets of Buddhism. I find it very meaningful and very grounding, just like a lot of Eastern philosophies are. And Thich's words are just so illustrative and beautiful, and he's quite the bard, actually. I love the way he describes just nature in and of itself, and our nature, and God. And it's interesting to hear him talk about Jesus, too, because he mentions Jesus Christ. And I found absolutely nothing wrong with it. I thought that's true, because Jesus himself was a teacher of the utmost. He was a very learned man, even though, he got his information directly from God, so yeah. He was God in human form. He came to unite us, and a lot of people don't understand that. But anyways, the book itself, I give 2 thumbs way up. It was absolutely incredibly deep and just unbelievably good 5 stars, hands down. No question on that. Excuse me. I don't have that much else to say about The Art of Living other than pick it up. And he has other books here too that are, I would definitely say, if you're interested in just making your life a little bit easier and not being tied down to things so much, because we just, it I know, looking around me you can tell, but I've come to realize that things are not the answer, and there's more to life than that, and it's all in compassion and helping others, and that's what I really want to do, and I'm going to get to that point eventually sometime in my life. But basically, that's all I got to say for now, so until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, Tutti.